the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
And on the foreign scene tonight, let's look at the African Leaders Summit. Well, because the summit is in the U.S., Secret Service assures of child security for delegates. So, United States yesterday clarified its decision to exclude 5 countries from its U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit holding in Washington, D.C. next week. According to the U.S. State Department's Office of African Affairs, 49 African governments and African Union AU dignitaries were invited to attend the 3-day summit beginning on Tuesday. However, 5 countries were excluded from the invitations. They are Mali, Guinea-Conakry, Burkina Faso, Eritrea, and Somalia.
Well, justifying the exclusion yesterday, Senior Director for African Affairs at the National Security Council, Jard de Vermont, said the State Department wanted to respect the decisions of the African Union and did not invite countries the AU has sanctioned. As is the case of Mali, Guinea-Conakry, and Burkina Faso, on the other hand, Eritrea and Somaliland were excluded because they don't have diplomatic relations with the U.S. While also at the briefing, Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs at the U.S. Department of State, Molly Fee, highlighted that among the various themes that would be discussed in the various meetings to take place next week, the priorities will be peace, democracy, climate change, food security, and good governance.
Now, with a focus on good governance, democracy, and security, these summits will not be limited to government leaders, but will also include business leaders in the most diverse areas, such as agriculture and health. The Director General of the World Health Organization, Tedros Ghebreyesus, is one of the guests as well. Now, Fee, responding to a question about African Growth and Opportunity Act, that is the AGOA, lamented that better advantage was not being taken for the program. AGOA will be part of the discussion whether the program should continue, and if so, in what form, she said.
Well, on the issue of maintaining consistency of relations between the United States and African countries, the Office of African Affairs of the U.S. Department of State noted that after the summit, it will be possible to strengthen ties with the African continent, notwithstanding changes in who leads the country. Recall that the last summit between African leaders and the United States was in 2014 during the Obama administration, and given the scale that a substantial number of Africa's head of state and government, royalty, and more than 3/4 of the continent's nation states are sending their leaders to the summit, the U.S. Secret Service admitted that protection of African delegates will be a gigantic undertaking.
Spokesperson of the Service Special Agent Steve Kopech said, and I quote, "As a matter of practice and due to operational security, the agency does not comment on protective operations. The standard for security remains the same across all national special security events, that's the NSSES. Regardless of environmental factors and challenges, the unified mission is to provide a safe and secure environment for our protectees, other dignitaries, event participants, and the general public during an event of national significance. As is always the case, security during an NSSE is a layered network of operations that is viewing in tandem with partner agencies. The 2022 U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit will be no different, and the Secret Service is committed to effectively executing the mission.
Well, according to the organizers, the summit aims to serve as a demonstration of the Biden administration's commitment to the African continent and provide a forum for new joint initiatives between the United States and countries in Africa. Well, this year's iteration will include new initiatives to increase the U.S. engagement with the African Continental Free Trade Area, that is AfCFTA. FTA, as well as initiatives to boost the continent's recovery from COVID-19, bolster food security, and promote investment in infrastructure, health, and renewable energy projects, amongst other priorities.
The forum will also include interactions with the civil society, multilateral meetings between Biden and African heads of state, secretary, and cabinet-level meetings for trade, energy, and diplomacy, and a collection of industry-focused meetings under the purview of the U.S.-Africa Business Forum. And when we come back after this break, we'll bring you the editorial.